For most of history, we've looked up at the night sky and seen a silent companion, a cratered stone glowing passively in the dark. That quiet image is an illusion. When you look at the other rocky planets in our inner solar system, moons are either tiny captured asteroids or completely non-existent. Earth's moon, however, is a giant. It holds over 1% of our planet's mass, making it the largest moon relative to its host planet anywhere in our solar neighborhood. Because of that immense size, it exerts a massive gravitational pull right back on the Earth, acting as a dominant physical force that continually shapes our planet. To actually understand what the moon is doing up there, we have to stop thinking of it as an isolated object and start looking at the Earth and the moon as a single, heavily coupled mechanical engine. This diagram shows how that engine is linked. The Earth and the moon don't function as a stationary planet and a circling satellite. Instead, they both orbit a shared center of mass called a barycenter. Because Earth is heavier, that pivot point sits about 3/4 of the way out from the Earth's core, just beneath our crust. As the two bodies swing around that varied pivot point, their gravity is locked in a constant tug of war. The moon's pull is stronger on the side of Earth facing it, which physically grabs our liquid oceans and stretches them outward into an elliptical shape. Every time you watch the tide roll in or out, you are witnessing the direct physical pull of two massive bodies interacting. It is the visible proof that our oceans are tethered to the sky. To understand how this engine was built, we have to look back 4.5 billion years. The giant impact hypothesis suggests that early in the solar system's formation, a Mars-sized body named Theia collided directly with a young, molten proto-Earth. The sheer energy of that impact blasted millions of tons of liquefied crust into space. Over time, that debris ring cooled, accreted, and coalesced into the sphere we see today. They were forged together in the exact same event. Looking closely at this lunar rock sample brought back by the Apollo missions, scientists found the physical proof. When you test the oxygen and tungsten isotopes within these rocks, their chemical signature is nearly identical to the rocks found deep in the Earth's mantle. The numbers show the moon didn't wander from deep space to get trapped by Earth's gravity. It is made of the exact same primordial material as our home. When the moon first formed, it rotated on its axis much faster than it does now. But as it orbited, the intense gravitational pull from the heavier Earth created friction within the moon's cooling magma, acting like a brake on its spin. This braking eventually settled into a precise mechanical rhythm called the 1-to-1 spin-orbit resonance. Today, the moon completes exactly one full rotation in the exact time it takes to complete one orbit. Because they are synchronized, one hemisphere is permanently pointed inward.
This tidal locking is why humanity only ever sees the near side. This photograph shows the result of that early gravitational stress. The darker planes are the Rhea, vast pools of basaltic lava that flooded the crust. When you look at the textured face of the moon, you are reading a frozen, physical record of billions of years of planetary interaction. The friction goes both ways. Earth rotates every 24 hours, faster than the moon's 27-day orbit. Our planet's rotation drags those ocean tidal bulges slightly ahead of the moon. This misalignment creates tidal drag. The moon's gravity pulls back on that water bulge, draining rotational energy and slowing our spin. In physics, energy has to go somewhere. The angular momentum lost by the Earth's slowing rotation is absorbed directly by the moon. This extra energy pushes the moon into a higher orbit, causing it to drift further away from us at roughly 38 millimeters a year. Earth and moon actively trade energy. We surrender our rotational speed, pushing our companion into the void. Long before we understood the orbital mechanics driving this system, human civilization relied on its output. The moon completes a full cycle of phases relative to the sun, known as a synodic month, every 29.5 days, providing us with our first dependable, globally visible clock. These early astronomical sketches by Galileo map the jagged terminator line between light and shadow. But thousands of years prior, early humans were already tracking this exact waxing and waning cycle, using tally sticks to count the days between phases. This practice gave us our earliest calendars and the root for the word month. In this photograph, Earth hangs in the blackness. This exact mathematical predictability allowed Apollo missions to calculate trajectories and physically land on its surface. That steady, unyielding rhythm high above our heads established the foundational timing for early agriculture, guided oceanic navigation, and ultimately gave us a target for human spaceflight. Today, with the launch of the modern Artemis program, our relationship with our nearest neighbor is evolving again. We are no longer looking at brief, exploratory visits. The modern objective is to establish permanent, long-term human habitation on the lunar surface. This new presence is made possible by what we've discovered hiding in the shadows. Recent missions have confirmed that substantial deposits of water ice are tucked away inside permanently dark craters at the moon's north and south poles. Water is heavy and incredibly expensive to launch from Earth. Finding it already on the moon means we can melt it for drinking water, and more importantly, split it into hydrogen and oxygen to manufacture rocket propellant. The moon can essentially act as an interplanetary refueling station. You are looking at the counterweight that churns our oceans, the ancient timekeeper that organized our civilizations, and the ultimate launch pad into the deep universe.